Barbarian. Is it a good movie? Is it a bad movie? I don't know. Here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Barbarian 2022 horror mystery directed and written by, I believe, Zach Kreger, starring Bill Skarsgård, and spoilers. Obviously, I can't talk about a movie without spoilers. So, Bill Skarsgård, usually when he is in a movie, he plays like a kind of anti-hero, antagonist, but like the bad guy that the girl has like a love interest for, that maybe like, or has some kind of weird fling. I've seen a bunch of fucking B movie trailers with India Isley or whatever the fuck her name is, and I feel like Bill Skarsgård is in every single fucking one of them, and he plays the same character who's like basically just like some guy who rolls in a town that's like secretly the son of a dead woman that fucking died for some happenstance, and he's there to avenge them or whatever the fuck, but it's like psychologically focused. So like Bill Skarsgård is, if you know him as an actor, he's like subversive in this movie. Cause how's the film start? So we have our young black female protagonist, and she is going to an Airbnb. We don't know why she's going there. We don't know what the fuck's going on. So she's going there, and she's kind of doing things stupidly, and that kind of tips her brain. You're like, oh, this is a horror movie. She doesn't like get all the information for the Airbnb. She has the code wrong, and then she's ignoring calls from somebody, Marcus, whatever, and it turns out that she got the number wrong, but the key's gone. So she finally solves the key code thing, and there's no keys. Like, what's going on? Goes back into her vehicle, and she's just like, oh fuck, and then the light turns on in the house. A little light turning on in the house. If she's supposed to be renting out this house as an Airbnb, something doesn't add up. So, she goes back in there, and she's like, knock, 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 and it's Bill Skarsgård, and Bill Skarsgård is, he's playing this role like he has a lot of anxiety, and he's nervous, and he's like really trying to like not be a male rapist. This will be important later. So, I'm just going to spoil one of the big themes in the film. One of the big themes is how coercive, how rape has changed over the years. I'm just going to say that. That's one of the themes. And so I'm not going to totally spoil it, but just that's a theme, okay? So just pin that, talk about it later. So Bill Skarsgård and female protagonist lady, who I don't remember the actress's name. Now I'm just seeming like a racist asshole. The cast list isn't come. What's her name? Wait, was she not black? Georgina Campbell? I gotta see. Now I gotta find out. Doesn't say like her. Doesn't tell me anything. Anyway, she looks like she was black to me, so I think she did a great job. I could tell why she was casted in terms of her emotive range, but not ridiculous. No, she really cements the horror at a concrete level, and she never is campy, unlike another character that shows up later in the film, unfortunately. So, wait, what is my mic set to? No, it probably sounds fine. What the fuck happens now? So, yeah, so they're trying to like square away, like, oh, you really belong here at this Airbnb? Do you really belong here? And they're both like comparing like fucking itinerary shit that they got from the different places that they set up. They try to call the agency place for like, why did you double booked the Airbnb? There's another person here. So I don't know what this film was. I got the sense that it was a horror movie because of like the audio cues when it's like the camera's going into her vehicle at the beginning and it like playing this like droning scary noise. I was like, oh, it's like a horror movie. My friend just told me to go see it. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was going to be a romantic comedy for like a little bit. I was kind of hoping that that's what it was gonna devolve into, like the horror was like a smoke screen. That would have been fucking hilarious. So, what's the next big scene that happens? The female protagonist lady, Tess, her name is, the actress's name, I don't, Georgina, yeah. So Georgina, um, why am I saying the actual actress's name? Her character name is Tess. I don't remember Bill's character's name. Bill Scar, I don't remember his name. Anyway, so Tess she's like in the toilet. If it's a horror movie and there's a woman in it, she's got to be on the john at least 3 times. I think that's in every female's contract. So she's like on the toilet like 3 times taking a shit. So like all that you have that fetish, congratulations, you got a movie for you. And she comes out of the bathroom, and Bill Skarsgård's like got some wine, and it's like at this point in the film, it's like, what's going on? Is Bill Skarsgård a rapist? Is he trying to roofie and rape her? Is he trying to seduce her? Did he invent this whole scenario? Did he fake his reservation to this Airbnb? What's going on? Like, there's only 2 people here, and we know black female protagonist lady didn't do anything wrong. Like, we just assume that, but you kind of know that based on how the film's like using its language and editing to like get you to believe certain things. Because if it was her, then it's like, well, what is her motive? Like, the guy can have a motive because he could have a sexual motive. He can have like an exploitive motive. Like, he could have a lot of motives, right? But like, what does she stand to gain from this? So exactly. So he has this wine, and he's kind of like rambling, and it's so awkward. He's like rambling, like, oh, maybe we could open this wine, and maybe that's why you didn't have the tea, because you didn't see me make it. But like, I didn't open the wine until you came out of the bathroom, because I thought maybe you'd want to see me open it, because if I opened it, then you wouldn't want to drink it. Like, it's the implication that like, oh, I'm trying to show you that I'm safe and I'm not going to rape you. That's what Bill Skarsgård's character is trying to establish. And he also probably, wants to get his freak on. He's probably like, this is a cool situation. And yeah, that's my read on his character. Okay. But no means no. He doesn't try anything, to my understanding. I was taking a piss at the beginning of the film, so I don't know how far that making the bed scene went on. If they like, got some, over the clothes boob action or something. I don't know. So, they have a really nice conversation, and they're really hitting it off. So it feels like we're getting into some kind of like, romantic comedy. It's gonna work out. She's going to interview with a documentarian. He is the person who is maybe going to be of interest in the potential documentary. So it's like a match made in heaven. Like, I can do something for you. You can do something for me. Thank you, and then they have the little like fun exchange with the sheets, and it's like a little kind of flirty, and they both open up a little bit more. They're more comfortable together. And then they go to bed. Oh no. Everybody knows if you're showing shots in your movie and it's bedtime, it's horror movie time. Shit's gonna happen. So, oh no. Door opens up. The door is locked. How did the door open up if the door was locked? Because she's sleeping in the bedroom, okay? Because he is a gentleman. But then she sees Bill Skarsgård's character. He's freaking out. He's like having like a night terror. So she's like goes over there and is like, oh, hey, like, what's going on? And he flips the fuck out. And then they go back to bed, and it just like smash cut. Okay, morning time. And she goes to her documentary thing, and he's like gone. And then she comes back, and then she like explores the house, and she's like looking for toilet paper because she took a shit again, but now there's no toilet paper. And she finds some toilet paper, and it's kind of funny because the toilet paper that she finds we see in a store later on in another scene. Not going to spoil that for you yet. I'll wait till we get there, then it'll be really fun. So yeah, so at this point in the film, I'm like looking at my watch, and I'm like, it feels like we're about to hit the 3rd act, and the film has been going on for 45 minutes. So either this is going to be a 45-minute 3rd act, or there's a lot of other shit that needs to happen. So a lot of other shit needs to happen. I was hoping that they were going to have some more normal nights, or maybe there was going to be some other guests at the Airbnb, but unfortunately that doesn't happen. What happens instead is uh, Tess, our female protagonist, she goes into the basement. She's looking for toilet paper, and apparently she doesn't have to wipe anymore, so she just goes and explores the basement. And it turns out there's a rope, and you pull the rope, and then there's a fucking wall door that just gives way, and she goes down the hall. And she does this really smart. She's smart, but also she's stupid. So when she go looks down the hall, she's like, nope, and then goes back up, but then the door's locked, and then she like hears something. So then she like sets up this mirror above, like below the light, to reflect the light down the hall so that she can go down the hall and investigate. And at this point, to me, I'm just like, this is what the literal fuck. I don't think she had her phone with her either, so that would make a little bit more sense. But yeah, so she goes down the hall, and then she sees this bed, and there's a camera and a bed. And that, if you know what that means, if you don't know what that means, I guess I'll have to explain it to you. It's somebody's recording their rapes. That's it. That's what's going on. The bed is dirtied. It's sullied. There's a camera. Yeah, that's what's going on. So she puts two and two together, and then I think does she get out through the window at that? No. Main guy comes back. Bill comes back. She throws the keys through the window to Bill. Bill gets in, and then she's like, we need to leave. There's something in the basement. The basement's weird. And this is the part of the film that's like, it starts to lose me, because the dialogue writing in the script is like for plot convenience, which is really unfortunate. So like, it's one of those things where like, she's like, oh, there's a bed and there's a camera, and Bill Skarsgård's character is like literally the dumbest person imaginable, and he's like, a bed, a camera, what's weird about that? Basements have rooms, okay? And then for no reason, he like just blazes into the basement. And then not only that, he goes into the basement, and then there's another door, and he goes even further into the basement. I have no fucking idea why. It makes no sense. So then she goes in after him. It turns out, after the hall in the basement, there's some steps going down into the fucking, like, the dungeon. The dungeon, if you will, right? And so they run into basically the taking of Deborah Logan monster, just a really long, elongated, gray looking older woman, and she just takes Bill Skarsgård's head and just smashes it on a fucking rock and kills him, and it cuts. And so like, this is end Act 1. Act 1 goes on for a long time, and then the film cuts to California with Justin Long in an open top cruiser car, where he is being canceled based on rape accusations of a co-star in a show that he was going to be in. So remember how I said this film, one of the themes is how rape changes in terms of like, you know, between the generations. This is, you know, the next one. So like in the current era, the current fear of rape causes somebody to be suspicious and causes men to, you know, to work in response to also make women feel comfortable by like, oh, look, I didn't open the drink in front of you, making them feel comfortable, and then not raping them. That's important. That's really important. So for Justin Long character, he's getting accused of raping his co-host or whatever the fuck, co-star. And so he's going to have legal fees. So he's got to liquidate his assets, but his like financial guy is dropping him. I don't really know why. And so he's going to go back to Michigan, specifically Detroit, because guess who owned the property where Tess and Bill Skarsgård were staying? Yep, it was Justin Long. I mean, I figured, like, I did not think that the movie was genuinely going to just have like Justin Long take a trip and then he just happens to go there and then die too. So like yeah, like it's connected, which is I was really not happy that it was connected, but it works. So basically, as Justin Long's character is on the screen, everything he does identifies him as somebody that you want to see die. He is, unforgivable about, like, he doesn't accept responsibility for what he did. And later on, he does admit that, yes, he, was coercive and very, pushy to get her to have sex with him. And, he didn't take no for an answer. That's the kind of rapist he was. And he doesn't have any empathy or care for anyone else, really. He's just a flippin' asshole. And the film gets into one part where it's pretty funny. So Justin Long eventually discovers the basement. And what does Justin Long do when he discovers the basement? The first thing he does is he Google searches, can the square footage of a basement be counted towards the square footage of the house to increase the sale value? So he's like taking a tape measure, and he's not afraid at all. He's just going in this scary ass fucking dark rooms and shit, and he's like measuring the square footage. And then he goes by the area where there's like these dog cages where people were presumably held in, and he's like measuring the area of the dog cage area, and he's just measuring this everything. And then eventually, of course, because we know that there's a monster down there, we're waiting for him to get killed. And I'm thinking, oh, the movie's gonna end soon, like it's been over an hour, like, whatever, right? But the movie's pretty long. So Justin Long runs into the monster. He's running away, and then he like falls, and then we see Tess. She's back. She lived. Now, mind you, it's been at least 2 weeks since Tess was last seen. How has she been surviving? Well, I think we have another flashback before, but I'll tell you how she's been surviving. Essentially, the monster has been feeding them with some kind of substance that looks like milk, but who fucking knows? And Tess doesn't really look that great. She looks pretty gray. And basically, the monster wants to mother people. So the monster is like mothering Tess, but Justin Long's character is like too stupid to understand. And so that's one part of the film that takes me out of it, is like characters are too stupid. Like Justin Long character kind of makes sense for how dumb he is at times, but like it gets really campy in how fucking stupid he is. But in the last 3 minutes of the film are just straight camp, so it's like kind of okay. So Justin Long's like, oh, I don't fucking understand. I don't want to drink this. And like the monster lady's like hair is like dangling with the baba, with the bottle, and it's just disgusting. So he doesn't want to drink it because it's fucking gross. And she like pulls him out, and she's like trying to teach him. So like she takes him to her like nurturing re-education labor camp, and basically she's like, there's a video playing of like how to breastfeed your child, and the monster is like trying to get Justin Long to breastfeed from her like rancid monster boob. Like the monster is a human, it's just disturbed in its physiology. So Tess takes this opportunity to escape, and this is the part of the movie where a lot of the stuff that happens make just like no fucking sense at all. And I'm gonna speed run through a lot of this because I have some problems with it. But before that happens, there's another flashback that is placed in the film. And this flashback is the one that for some people I think probably ruins the film, because it's the like expository flashback. I already understood the film. I got the clues. My understanding before the flashback was that this monster was the product of rape. That this monster was a child that was born to a woman who was raped in the basement, and that was not able to be raised beyond like a few years by another person and has essentially been fending for itself. So that's why it's like such a wild kind of human monster, because it was a victim and it doesn't know how else to survive. And the only thing it really knows is to try to be a bomb, even as like fucked up as it does that. So the flashback, we follow a main character who comes from the exact same house, and he goes to the store and he's getting things for a child, and he's like, oh no, it's only me. So the woman helps him like buy some things, and as he's at the store, we see the same toilet paper that was in the basement of the house. So like even before you know that like he was the previous owner, I mean, you know he's the previous owner because he came out of the house. But if you're like if you need another reinforcer, then that's there. I thought that was kind of funny. Because it's in the toilet paper is in the basement, and there's probably like nowhere else to really store it, but it's also kind of ominous because there's other things in the basement that we know about as the audience that cue us in the justification for having such an amount of toilet paper in the basement. So this owner of the house, he comes home, puts on a like repairman's jumper, and like walks across the street. Oh no, before that, there's one other thing. So the film does two things really well. I have to backtrack. One of the things it does really well is that when the Tess character, she's trying to like, oh, I'll just find somewhere else to go, or I'll just like go sleep in my car or some shit or whatever. And then like Bill Skarsgård's like, have you seen out there? Like, do you think that's safe? And then she's like, what are you talking about? And then the next day when she goes to her interview, the entire neighborhood is just a fucking burnt down ghetto shithole. It is terrible. It is terrible. You don't even see people living there. Anyone who's living there is probably squatting. So, yeah. And then the other thing is, shit, I don't even remember what the other thing was. Well, anyway, something that was kind of dumb, or yeah, the other good thing is that when the original owner of the house is leaving the store after buying his baby supplies, he's in his car and it looks like he's looking at some black people. Now, the film has some political things to kind of frame when the film takes place in the different eras, and to also give a backdrop of like what's going on. So one of the things going on in this original owner of the house, it's the Reagan era, which is a little late for white flight, in my opinion, because, or a little, yeah, it seems a little late still because, Detroit was, if you don't know, like after segregation, there was integration, and one of the places that didn't need to do integration as determined by the Supreme Court, I think it was, I don't know if it was the Supreme Court of Michigan or the Supreme Court of the United States, was Detroit. Ironically enough, one of the most segregated cities in all of the USA did not have to engage in integration, which is how you got this like really fucked up education system, because you had really, really impoverished areas. So anyway, in the film, white flight's going on. The original owner of the house's neighbor is like, oh, we're getting out of here. And he doesn't say why explicitly, but he's like, oh, yeah, you're going to stay or whatever. But as he's leaving the store, he sees some black people. And at first it seems like the camera, like he's watching these black people, and he's like, oh, there's some black people in our neighborhood. That's what I thought was going on. I thought he was going to be racist. But no. It turns out our original owner of the home, who is rapist man, he is not racist. He's just a rapist. So he was actually stalking one of his neighbors, which to me doesn't make any sense, because he just literally puts on a jumper of a suit of a guy named Carlos and walks across the street to this woman's house and is like, oh, hey, we're having some outages. Can I check your water? And he goes in, runs the faucet, unlocks the bathroom window, and then walks out. Presumably, that's how he captured her. And what happened after that? Oh yeah, so then he goes back to his house, and then there's like just screaming in the basement, and then it cuts. Like the film like leaves it with like, oh, he has been capturing women. The film kind of goes off like off the rails. Justin Long discovers that the old man is still alive, and he's like basically just decomposing in a bed, but he's still alive. And there's all these tapes of all these rapes, and so it's really interesting. This is one of the most salient moments of the film, is that Justin Long, who was a modern rapist, he coerced a woman to have sex with him and then justifies it to himself as though like, oh, well, she was into it after I kept basically like forcing her to like be into it. And he watches the tapes of the rapes that this man committed, that were violent and horrific, and he condemns the past rapist, even though he himself also is a rapist, and Justin Long's character is terrible. So it's kind of funny how that thematically ties in, that like, oh, well, I'm not as bad as you, but Justin Long's character would be that guy probably in the past, like, just because the methods have changed doesn't mean what you're doing is different. Now, obviously, Justin Long isn't creating infinite incest rape babies like the guy in the basement, but like that's here or there. So anyway, Justin Long brings over the table to the dying man, and you think like the movie sets up a great bait and switch. So there's a string, a bell attached to a string, and you think the audience will think, I thought, oh, the old man's gonna ring the bell, and then his daughter's gonna come, the monster, and she's gonna kill Justin Long. And that's what you think will happen because that's how it's all set up. No. The old man, he grabs a gun, and you think, oh no, Justin Long is like, at first he's condemning this guy, and he's like, oh no, you got a gun. Oh shit, man. Oh no, please don't kill me. You're awesome. I love rape. And then the old man shoots himself in the head. Justin Long grabs the gun. This is another part of the film that's fucking dumb. So meanwhile, Tess is like outside trying to get help from the cops, because she like is too dumb to go back in the building and get her keys, which are just on the kitchen table. The cops are just like woefully fucking stupid and dumb and like invalidating, and it's kind of realistic, like it could kind of happen, but like it just, I mean, a woman coming to a cop and saying that I was just held in a basement for 2 weeks, like, what the fuck? I don't know. That felt fucking stupid. It just, characters being dumb for the sake of the plot is, in my opinion, fucking stupid, and that part of the film is fucking stupid. So anyway, this part makes no sense. It's daytime. She busts into the house, comes back out, goes in her vehicle, and then it's nighttime. It's pitch black, and the monster is like out, and she like rams the monster into the house, and she thinks she kills it, and then she goes back in. At this point in the movie, like, she has no reason to help Justin Long, and she has no reason to believe that he's even fucking alive. Why the fuck does she go back in the basement? So she goes back in the basement, and we know Justin Long is looking for somebody. He's got a gun. But this part makes no sense. So like her flashlight goes out, and he has a light. He has his phone, and we can see a light. He sees her. Now we don't see him seeing her, but we know that's what happens. He sees her and shoots her, and then he runs up and he's like, oh no, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then this is when the movie becomes full camp, because she's like getting carried around and like just okay. And she got like shot in the liver, and like, they don't really do anything about the wound. She's like, I'll be okay. And then they're like hanging out with this like homeless black man who's like, oh, she'll be okay till morning. You guys don't want to leave. And it's like, what? So like they're hiding in the like squatter's house. And the black guy like verbatim says, I've been here 15 years. She ain't never come around here. Immediately, the wall behind him breaks, and she like gets up and just kills him. And it's like, okay, now the movie is full camp. So yeah, they like get to the top of the water tower, which isn't like a tall water tower. It's like one of those like base ground ones that's just like a cylinder. And Justin Long like drops the gun like a fucking moron. Like he drops everything. And then, he like throws, he throws Tess off the water tower, hoping that the monster will be like, oh no, my baby. And then it like is in slow-mo and looks so cheesy and shitty. And then the monster like goes and catches her and saves her. And so presumably the monster is dead. sacrificing herself to save Tess. And Justin Long goes down there, and then the monster gets up and just like gouges his eyes out and rips his skull in half and kills him. So Justin Long's finally fucking dead. All the rapists are dead by the end of the film, and then the monster is like, can tell that Tess is hurt and wants to go back, but like Tess is like, oh no, I can't. And then she like grabs the gun, and like the monster is like kissing her boo-boos. She's like doing this to kiss her boo-boos. And then Tess shoots the monster, and then the film like cuts. So like gunshot, cut to black, but then it doesn't really cut to black because she's like walking home, but there's like nothing else to the film. So that's the whole fucking film. It does a few things really well. It feels like the film respects your, as the audience's, attention to detail, but then it like is just so campy and stupid at times that it's like really fucking unfortunate. I feel like I have to give the movie like a 6 out of 10. I can't give it a 7 because the unconventional nature of the film is unfortunate because it causes you to judge the sections very differently. The beginning section is the best part of the movie, and then the rest of the sections are just happenstance to kind of explain the first part of the movie. Like that's how a lot of horror movies work, unfortunately. And I don't really care about an explanation. I would have been fine if we never saw the old guy rapist man, because like I got it. When I saw the bed in the camera and there's a hidden room in the basement and it's all dank and disgusting, I understood where that monster came from, and I didn't need it completely explained to me. I thought that part of the film, even though it explained it in a way that wasn't offensively stupid like most horror movies, I just didn't want it. I genuinely didn't want it. Something I will say, I think the cinematography is very good at times. So the way the camera shoots the actors when they're drinking alcohol and they're like getting chemistry, Tess and Bill Skarsgård, like that part is really showing the chops of like how they chose to shoot those characters. Because before this happens, Tessa's character, when we're doing shot reverse shot, when we're looking at Tess, we're looking down from Bill Skarsgård's position and we're looking down at her. And when we're at Tess's perspective, we're behind her and the camera is looking up at Bill Skarsgård. And the reason this is important is that this creates a power dynamic in the relationship that feels uncomfortable. So the beginning of the film really establishes that this tall white male, seems like he's horny for you and might rape you. That's what seems like is going on at the beginning of the film. But then after they break the ice and they're drinking the wine together, then they're shot at even levels. And then they're just having a good time. And they're both mutually flirtatious to my understanding, and nobody gets raped. I thought that part of the cinematography earns the film an A. But the problem is that is only in one part of the film. I mean, the cinematography is good, as I explained with some of the other examples, but it's just that the things that it's good for are parts of the story I particularly don't even want to be seen. I don't care, unfortunately. So I have to give the film a 6, but I feel that it does something so well that like those things that it does well, I rate it like a 9. I really do like them. It's just that Justin Long's character, he gets the most characterization and you don't like him and you want him to die, but like it's not that entertaining. Like I don't know. His shit should have been cut down. His shit was way too fucking long. I wanted to see more stuff with Tess. I really liked her character. And I thought it was fucked up that they, she's like out of the film for so long for fucking Justin Long's stupid introduction. God, I hate Justin Long. He like almost ruined the fucking movie for me. But anyway, that's my review. Hope you liked it. Otherwise, and watch the movie. If you're a horror fan, it's a must watch. Okay, see ya.